Hey guys, if you are seeing this, that means that we've reached Wednesday again. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Worship Wednesday. I don't take it lightly. I do not take it for granted. I am super thankful that you continue to be with me on this journey while God continues to work in me and through me and told through a profession of dance. As always, I pray that you glean something from this. And as you continue to walk alongside of me, that you are hearing from God as well. I'm glad you're here. So if I can be honest, which, I can be honest. We're going to be honest. I feel like I've cried more in the last 48 hours than I have in the last few weeks. Despite how much I've been talking about how difficult these weeks have been, it's been more contemplative and analytical and heavy, but to actually exert tears hasn't necessarily been happening. And so I feel like I've gotten a few really good long cries out over the last couple of days. Think about around when Stay Strong, I don't remember what episode that was, but around then I feel like I went through a really long cry spell too. So it's probably been around then since I really got some really cries out, and I think I'm back to crying almost as much as I did back then. So I had another video queued up for this week, in real God fashion and true life fashion. We're not getting that video this week. I had started it and I thought I was gonna release it today, but as I was traveling yesterday, I had my gospel playlist on shuffle, and as the music's playing, I felt pulled in another direction. And if I can be completely honest, I feel like I've been avoiding this song out of frustration, out of denial. Have your pick of excuses. Either way, I genuinely feel like I was avoiding doing this song. And I thought about doing it a couple times, but I really just felt like, not that I didn't want it to be my testimony, but I didn't want to believe that that's where I was. I didn't want to emphasize that that's what this was. I just wanted to be nah, I'm very big on when stuff isn't going right, or when I feel like stuff isn't going right, or the way I saw it going, I'm very much, what am I doing wrong? What can I do to prevent this? And it's kind of counterproductive, in my opinion. I don't remember what episode it was, but a couple weeks ago, I feel like in one of those really real-time aha, real revelation moments that basically amounted to when you feel like God isn't speaking, or when you feel like you're not hearing from him, that maybe he's already giving you the tools that you need, and he's kind of sitting back and watching and making sure you're utilizing what he's giving you, because it's already inside you. And it's not that he has disappeared, it's not that he isn't present, it's that he's already giving you what you needed. And so sometimes when we're pressing into God, and sometimes we're really seeking after God, and we're trying to figure out why we don't feel him move, or why we don't actively hear him, and sometimes it's not, the little memes or posts that you see on social media that's the teacher's always quiet during the test, but and it sounds cliche, but the fact of the matter is that when you're in school, the teacher spends time, if you have a good teacher, spends time breaking down the work and giving you practice problems and practice quizzes and homeworks to help you build upon what you're working on in class. And so when the test comes, if they've done a good job, they're silent. And it's not because they left the classroom, and it's not because they miraculously stopped caring about investing in you. It's because they were already giving you the tools that you need. And I feel like that's the first time that I felt like I should do this song. Then yesterday, I had my gospel playlist on shuffle, and I wasn't necessarily looking for a song. Like I said, I had another video that I was prepared to queue up to release, but I Will Follow by Tasha Cobbs came on. That's not the song that this is, but I Will Follow by Tasha Cobbs came on. And there's a part where it chants like, if you lead me where you lead, I'll go. If you lead me where you lead, I'll go. In like truest smart alecky, sarcastic fashion, I basically was like, yeah, but I'm not hearing you. If you lead me somewhere, and not like I don't believe he will send me direction, but in like I genuinely don't feel like I'm hearing anything from you, or like actively hearing from you on a regular basis. And so it brings me back to today. And it's ironic because today, not today, a couple days ago, my mother had asked me, so do I get to know what song is coming up this week? I'm like, my mother never asked me that. I know she actively watches my video, but she's never like been pre-curious, I guess, like curious before the fact. So it was interesting to me. And had it have been at any point earlier than yesterday, I would have been able to say to her the song that I thought I was queuing up for this week. And I don't remember why I didn't answer, but I didn't. What makes it ironic is that my mother actually loves this song. And I know that it's a song that really speaks to her. I'm the one that introduced her to the song. And so ever since then, I feel like I know when she's feeling away, because I know I'll hear this song more often than like if she just has music playing. And so when I fell in love with it, it meant a lot to me because like my mother ended up falling in love with it too, and she had it on repeat. So she'll be happy to hear that it's this. Shout out to T-Mouth. The song is called Silence by Anthony Evans Jr. And it really speaks to even God being able to speak through his silence, or what we are perceiving as silence, or inactivity. And it's not necessarily that right now I feel that God is silent. Maybe a little, but like it's not necessarily that I feel like he's silent. It's more so kind of what I was saying when I'm like, whenever I feel like things aren't working out the way that I should, my knee-jerk reaction is to go to, what did I do wrong? What am I not doing? What am I missing? What am I misperceiving? I must have misstepped here, fumbled the bag here. I must have insert long list of possibilities that'll probably never come into fruition here, right? And I've been honest on here about struggling with anxiety, and it makes me a little control freak-esque, and I always feel like I have to be doing something. So like if I'm sitting still for too long, I instantly feel like I have this overwhelming feeling that I'm forgetting something, which then drives me to make me feel like I'm forgetting literally everything. And so it's kind of almost paralyzing sometimes when I really am sitting and trying to focus on what God is asking me to do, and especially when I'm supposed to be still or waiting for direction. Sometimes it's really hard for me to not feel like I'm being counterproductive or stagnant. So there's been a couple times over the last couple weeks where, I'm like, all right, I don't want to be disobedient, and I don't want to be perceived as inactive. So like, I'll go do something in efforts to try and be prepared or move something along. And then I'll clearly hear God be like, nah. And it's funny because I was just having a conversation with one of my friends, and I was talking about all the different components of my life that I'm not necessarily content in or I'm struggling with that I'm believing God for. And I was like, it's a little bit of everything, and that's really what's weighing on me. And so she asked, like, in short, what are you going to do about it? And I kind of paused and I was like, I'm trying to trust and believe God with it. Because every time I do something that I think is progressing or I think that could move it forward, it either feels like it's contrary to where God's leading me. Nope, that's not it. Or I clearly feel the conviction of that's not what I told you to do. Or that ain't it. Or nah. And so I'll stop and I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. And most of it is anxiety driven, control freak kind of thing. But also I want to move. So is it that he's silent? No, not necessarily. And I feel like he's silent until I like do something and then he's like, nah. See, and then even now I feel like God's like, yeah, I'm quiet because you're doing what you're supposed to do. Like, I don't need to tell you to do something. When you misstep and your toe get out of line, I feel your thoughts wander, I remind you. Like, isn't that supposed to be reassuring? I feel like it's supposed to be reassuring. And I feel like it is, because then it's not that he's not speaking. It's the inactivity that makes me feel like, I don't know, like, they say that there's a difference between being stagnant and complacent versus like actively waiting. And I've even talked on here about like, what are you doing in your midnight hour as you wait for your joy in the morning? Like, I talked about this mentally. I understand that. So I don't ever want to ever be perceived as inactive or complacent or stagnant or not working. So the question is, for me, then where am I drawing this line? What am I ceasing my action to be still, or am I not actively moving in preparation and believing in faith what God has for me? One of the things the song starts off with saying is like, hey God, like, I feel like my prayers are hitting the wall and I've been here so long, like my faith is getting weak. And I didn't necessarily want that to be the truth, but like it is. And I've talked about being frustrated. And I feel like that's even the same kind of theme when I did Stay Strong a couple years ago. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm waiting, I'm trusting and I'm believing. But I'm going to be honest with you that it's wearing on me. And I need to get it out of my head that like, I don't need to guilt trip myself about being that emotional. Like, I don't need to make myself feel guilty by saying I'm wrong for feeling this way, or like guilty for feeling impatient. Because in reality, I think it's more important for me that I took these feelings to God in attempts to remain faithful, in attempts to remain committed to him, in attempts to still seek his face, even in my frustration. And even when I was sad, I think it's more important that I did that as opposed to getting disgruntled and deciding this is not what I want to do anymore, or wavering or continuing to do something even after I felt the Spirit say no. And I feel like I need to press into that, because I don't need to guilt trip and condemn myself. I don't want to congratulate myself or like pat myself on the back, but like I need to acknowledge that that's a feat in and of itself, because it could have went another way. It literally could have went another way. But the fact of the matter is, God is still keeping me in a way that it hasn't. So it's not that I necessarily feel that he's completely silent. And maybe that's part of the point in this song, taking the time to acknowledge that he has been silent. But his silence doesn't mean that he's inactive and he's not moving and changing and working on the things that he promised me or that I'm believing him for. I also then have to acknowledge that he is silent to me until he deems it necessary to speak, until he deems that I don't need the silence. So then he's not really being silent. When I'm chilling and doing what I need to do, he's not necessarily always vocal or actively speaking or visibly to me, but that doesn't mean he's not behind the scenes moving. But when I get discouraged, he sends me comfort, or he'll send me word, or he'll send me a sign, he'll send me confirmation. When I'm getting overly anxious and moving, he'll tell me that's not the way. And I think one of the important things I need to remember or understand is that even though I feel like there's a whole lot of, there's not this, it's not this, there's not a lot of things happening, all these no's are leading me to my yes. All these no's are making the path that he has for me that he is literally lighting before me more apparent, because he shut down or closed off all these other options and all these other choices. So I have his choice left. So I have his way left. And so I think this song is to say I'm going to be grateful for that. I'm going to be thankful for that, no matter how frustrated I am. And no matter how I feel, I'm still going to praise through, and I'm still going to worship through, because this is how I'm combating this, and this is how I'm fighting now, and this is how I'm combating, this is how I feel, despite what my feelings are saying to me, despite what my mind is saying to me, despite what my situation and my circumstances saying, despite me feeling like he's being silent and being frustrated by that. In spite of all of this, I still have word. I still have promises that help keep me. I still have hope that keeps me until I feel like he's actively revealing to me again. So I'm gonna go dance now because I feel like I really need to get this out. And like I said, these last couple of days have been harder than the hard that I've been talking about these last couple of weeks. So I'm gonna get this off my chest. I feel like something, the symbolism of something has to break was important, but now I think that it's also important. Got you. Now I think that's also important that I took all that stuff out, I wrote it out, and I broke it, and now it's important to make sure that I am actively and passionately and committedly filling those voids and filling those spaces for the things that I asked to him to help me let go of with him, so that he can work in me and so that I can move forward, so that I can be prepared when he decides and he's ready to no longer be silent. And contrary to other things that he's been telling me no about, I don't feel him telling me no about going to do this dance. I'm a jerk. Thank you for stopping by this week. As always, I pray that something that you saw or something that I said gives you something to talk about with God today. I pray that you can take it a step further and you can use those conversations to share with others and give them the explanation as to why you believe. I'm praying for you guys as much as I'm praying for me, because I'm super thankful that you guys continue to support and watch, and whatever God is bringing to the forefront of your mind in terms of your situations and your experiences as you are listening to mine. I'm praying for those things, whatever they are, because he knows even if I don't. And so I do not take it lightly that you are here, and I'm thankful for that. Thank you for tuning in, and God willing, I will see you back here next week. Thanks.
Questions left unanswered, feels like my prayers are hitting these walls. So I'm left here wondering if you can still hear me at all. I've been here so long, my faith is getting weak, so I just have to believe. Maybe you're speaking through the silence. Maybe it's all I need to hear. Give me the patience in this quiet. I need to rest here and breathe on you. My fresh soul's guarding. When did I stop? not believing that you are who you promised to be faithful to finish what you said you would do. Although right now I can hear you speaking, I refuse to believe. Maybe you're speaking through the silence. Maybe it's all I need to hear. Patience in this quiet. I need to rest for you. As long as it takes, I will wait. I'll wait for you. As long as it takes, I will wait. Maybe you're speaking through the silence. Maybe it's all I need to hear. Give me the patience in this quiet. I need to rest here. Maybe you're speaking through the silence. Maybe it's all I need to hear. Give me the patience in this quiet. I need to rest here. For you, as long as it takes, I will wait. I'll wait for you. As long as it takes, I will wait. I'll wait for you. As long as it takes.